Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 1, Text 20. Kritavan
Kritavan
Kila
Kila
Karmani
Karmani
Saha
Saha
Ramena
Ramena
Keshavaha
Keshavaha
Atimartyani
Atimatyani
Bhagavan
Bhagavan
Gudaha
Gudaha
Kapata
Kapata
Manushaha
Manushaha
Kritavan Kila Karmani
Kritavan Kila Karmani
Saha Ramena Keshavaha
Saharamena Keshavaha
Atimartyani Bhagavan
Atimatyani Bhagavan
Guda Kapata Manushaha
Kapata Manushaha
Kritavan Kila Karmani
Kritavan Kila Karmani
Saharamena Keshavaha
Saharamena Keshavaha
Atimartyani Bhagavan
Atimatyani Bhagavan
Guda Kapata Manushaha
Kapata Manushaha
Kritavan Kila Karmani
Kritavan Kila Karmani
Saharamena Keshavaha
Saharamena Keshavaha
Atimartyani Bhagavan
Atimatyani Bhagavan
Guda Kapata Manushaha
Guda Kapata Manushaha
कृतवान् किल कर्माणि
Kritavan Kila Karmani
सहरामेन केशवः
Saharamena Keshavaha
अतिमत्यानि भगवान्
Atimartyani Bhagavan
गूढकपटमानुषः
Guda Kapata Manushaha
कृतवान् किल कर्माणि
Kritavan Kila Karmani
सहरमेण केशवः
Saharamena Keshavaha
अतिमर्त्यानि भगवान्
Atimartyani Bhagavan
गूढकपटमानुषः
Guda Kapata Manushaha
Kritavan Kila Karmani
Kritavan Kila Karmani
Saharamena Keshavaha
Saharamena Keshavaha
Atimartyani Bhagavan
Atimartyani Bhagavan
Gudha Kapata Manushaha
Guda Kapata Manushaha
कृतवान् किल कर्माणि
Kritavan Kila Karmani
सहरामेन केशवः
Saharamena Keshavaha
अतिमत्यानि भगवान्
Atimartyani Bhagavan
गूढकपटमानुषः
Guda Kapata Manushaha Kritavan
कृतवान्
done by
Done by
Kila
Kila
what?
What
Karmani
Karmani
acts
acts
Saha
Saha
along with
along with
Ramena
Ramena
Balaram
Balaram
Keshavaha
Keshavaha
Shri Krishna
Shri Krishna
Atimartyani
Atimatyani
superhuman
Superhuman
Bhagavan
Bhagavan
the personality of Godhead
Personality of Godhead
Gudaha
Gudaha
masked as
Masked as
Kapata
कपट
apparently
apparently
Manushaha
Manushaha
human being.
Human being.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Lord Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, along with Balaram, played like a human being, and so masked, he performed many superhuman acts. Purport. The doctrines of anthropomorphism and zoomorphism are never applicable to Sri Krishna or the personality of Godhead. The theory that a man becomes God by dint of penance and austerities is very much rampant nowadays, especially in India, since Lord Ram, Lord Krishna and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu were detected by the sages and saints to be the personality of Godhead as indicated in revealed scriptures. Many unscrupulous men have created their own incarnations. The process of concocting an incarnation of God has become an ordinary business, especially in Bengal. Any popular personality with a few traits of mystic power will display some feat of jugglery and easily become an incarnation of Godhead by popular vote. Lord Sri Krishna was not that type of incarnation. He was actually the personality of Godhead from the very beginning of his appearance. He appeared before his so-called mother as formed Vishnu. Then at the request of the mother, he became like a human child and at once left for another devotee at Gokul, where he was accepted as the son of Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda Mata. Similarly, Sri Baladev, the counterpart of Lord Sri Krishna, was also considered a human child, born of another wife of Sri Vasudeva. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that his birth and deeds are transcendental, and that anyone who is so fortunate as to know the transcendental nature of his birth and deeds will at once become liberated and eligible to return to the kingdom of God. So knowledge of the transcendental nature of the birth and deeds of Lord Sri Krishna is sufficient for liberation. In the Bhagavatam, the transcendental nature of the Lord is described in 9 cantos, and in the 10th canto his specific pastimes are taken up. All this becomes known as one's reading of this literature progresses. It's important to note, however, that the Lord exhibited his divinity even from the lap of his mother, and his deeds are all superhuman. He lifted Govardhan hill at the age of 7. And that all these acts definitely prove him to be actually the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yet due to his mystic covering, he was always accepted as an ordinary human child by his so-called mother and father and mother and other relatives. Whenever some Herculean task was performed by him, the father and mother took it otherwise, and they remained satisfied with unflinching filial love for their son. As such, the sages of Naimisharanya described him as apparently resembling a human being, but actually he is the Supreme Almighty Personality of Godhead. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Kritavan Kila Karmani Saharamena Keshavaha Atimatyani Bhagavan Guda Kapatamanushaha. Lord Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, along with Balaram, played like a human being, and so masked, he performed many superhuman acts. In this whole planet called Bharatvarsha, this tract of land, also called Bharatvarsha, India, is special because Supreme Personality of God had descended here in different incarnations. So now in this part of land, people are familiar with this idea of the Supreme Personality of Godhead appearing as if human. And due to that, as it says here, there's a lot of cheating, that people are posing to be God. That would be strange to some other people around the world. But here in India, Supreme Personality did come. And so it's not unheard of. And due to that piety of people, so many people are cheating. And as it said here, that Krishna and Ram, when they descended, they were detected by sages and saints to be supreme. They were found out through Shastra and other sages. But just to accept someone as Supreme Personality of Godhead, this is not scientific, this is not logical. The two words are used here, anthropomorphism and zoomorphism. Have you heard these before? No. So anthropomorphism means that because human beings see themselves, oh, I have 2 hands, 2 legs, I look like this, so God should look like that. So people who think God resembles a human, they say they're influenced by anthropomorphism. They criticize us that you are saying God has 2 hands, 2 looks like a man. Why? Why do you think that? Because you look like that. You think that he's like that. Others say zoomorphism, that ascribing a form of animal to God. That's because in our experience we see animals, so we think that God must be some big animal, because Supreme appeared as Kurma avatar, Varaha avatar. So they coin all these fancy words to all as these Maya Aparta Jnana. They using their intelligence to not surrender. Now they made these philosophies, terms, saying that we ascribe the form of a man to God. But actually, as we know, as Prabhupada quotes even the Bible sometimes, so he wrote that, he read, it says in the Bible, man was made in the image of God. So it's very clear. Actually, we are saying we are made in image of Krishna because we want it to be imitation. It's imitation Krishnas. It's not that we are thinking God is like this because we are like this. Proper study of Shastra. So because Supreme Personality of Godhead came on this land, he walked around as if a normal human. So now for someone to accept another person like that, it's not so hard for them. And therefore there's cheating. So some very glaring, prominent personalities make some outrageous comments. So now one so-called Baba, he used to cheat people that he's God. And people accepted. Politicians, great personalities, who normally would be considered intelligent in society, they accepted him. And he himself, he claimed he was incarnation of Ram or Krishna, and he'd append his name at the beginning. His name at the beginning of Krishna or Ram, to make it look like he's that person. But then, very strangely, at the end of his life, he gave the last lecture saying, actually, there is no Ram and Krishna. So what are you doing trying to become Ram and Krishna? And they found billions in his account. I can't remember, it is dollars or rupees. Billions. Just to give an example, Srila Prabhupada, the founder of ISKCON, he didn't have an account, he didn't have money at all. Throughout his time when he was operating as ISKCON's founder Acharya and preaching, operating as the main preacher in ISKCON, then he unmanifested, others came. Even when he left, they didn't see any trace of any money that he kept personally. There's one pastime that it was somewhere, I think in Detroit, that they found one temple, a big building, which they said could be used as ISKCON's temple. So they came to that place, they looked around, and it was good. Okay, so Prabhupada said, all right, we'll buy it. And next to him was one of his rich disciples. He told him, buy it. And he arranged to buy the temple. And it was bought. Then Prabhupada commented, you see, I don't have any money, but when we need here, someone will give the money. Of course, it's Krishna giving the money. So that's how he operated. But in cases like this of people posing to be God, why are they accumulating material wealth? They don't have to do that. How much in the beginning of ISKCON, so much money came that people were worrying what is going on, where are they getting the money? All kind of questions, inquiries were there. But as Prabhupada would say, like for example, if he'd be preaching to someone would say that, you're sadhus, why do you have so much money? So many replies for that came. One was, you join us, you can also have the money. It's not that it's for us only. And another argument that Krishna is the husband of the goddess of fortune. Why shouldn't there be money? He's the husband of the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi. Madhav, his name is. Madhav means husband of the Lakshmi. So there will be money. So in that way, money is there, but not his personal money. It was not, very clear, it was not. It was in the society, it was in the preaching, we saw the money. And in the acquisition of buildings, not personally, he didn't have money. He came to America with nothing, practically he had nothing. At the end, he left, there was nothing materially, but spiritually, everything. So another thing is that some of these people who claim to be God, they start engaging in philanthropic activities, because what else will they do? They cannot do miracles, or maybe the show of miracles, produce a watch or something, but they cannot, like Krishna's miracles, they cannot do that. What do? To impress the people, they'll do philanthropic activity. But that's not written in Bhagavad Gita anyway. We are supposed to live according to Bhagavad Gita. Krishna has given instructions for mankind, who we are, who he is, what should our activity be. Manvana bhavamad bhakta madhyaji mam namaskuru, worship me, become my devotee, offer obeisance to me. He doesn't say to do philanthropic activity. There is in chapter 12 one place where Krishna says, okay, if you cannot remember me, work for me. If you cannot work for me, give up the fruits of your action for me. If you cannot, at least do something pious. Then there's something like philanthropic activity comes. But that is if you cannot work for Krishna, if you cannot give up the results, and if you cannot think of him. Otherwise, sadhus don't engage in mundane welfare activity, because that is promoting the material concept. That is a job of the government. So this so-called person posing as Ram, O Krishna incarnation, he engaged in philanthropic activity. So that was totally against Shastra. So why are people cheated into accepting some false person as God? Why are people cheated? One word, ignorance, avidya. They are not reading Shastra, neither do they know knowledge on their own. Obviously, we are all born in illusion. We don't have knowledge. We have to get knowledge from Shastra or from bona fide sadhus, gurus, from the proper line. So they don't have any knowledge, and due to this ignorance, they're accepting anyone as God. Okay, but in Shastra, it's very clear. It's very clear for someone who wants to get knowledge. They'll say clearly who the Supreme Personality of Godhead is, what are his, what was it now? It's given in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Tatasta Lakshana and Mukhya Lakshana. What will his features be? What will his activities and appearance be? Details are given. And so, people are not cheated before. People knew Shastra. But as Kali Yuga progressed, it started at the time when British were in India. They deliberately tried to separate Sanskrit from the mass of people, because all the Shastra are written in Sanskrit. So now no one can read it. And so then knowledge is not there. And then it's easier. When you separate people from their culture, it's easy to control them. So the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his expansion, they descended on this planet. It's so hard for people to think because of their religious systems. They have such a lack of knowledge of God that they don't know. They're searching, and we say, no, God is here. We know everything about him. This is it. This is his address, his mother, father, everything. So then no, this cannot be. Why? God cannot be known. How come you know so many details about God? How can you say so clearly? So because of that, they don't accept. No, you're in illusion like us. You don't know. Then they bring these terms like zoomorphism, anthropomorphism. That you because you have this feature, you are ascribing it to God. But there's no reason why God cannot have that form. As Prabhupada says in Bhagavad Gita in one purport, that when we tell people the Supreme Personality of Godhead can descend here, they refuse, no. And when we ask them to give a good tangible reason why he cannot descend, they cannot. Give a reason why Krishna cannot come, Supreme God cannot. But he descended on this world, this material world, in his own material, spiritual energy. When he descended, his activities resembled a human being. Went to Gurukul, mother, father, playing with the kid, his friends, and herding the cows. He resembled a human being. So, people who are deluded, ignorant, they could not see that He's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And so and even at that time, they didn't accept Him as Krishna, as God. Even now, what about now? He came, He descended, He was there. People could not tell. That's given in 10th canto, in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, when Krishna was fighting the wrestlers. When He came into the ring, everyone saw Him differently. Kamsa saw Him as death, and Gopis saw Him as their lovable object. And I can't remember the others, but you would have read that part. And some saw Him as ordinary person. So it's according to our consciousness how we are seeing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. His activities resembled a human being, so many people took Him as that. But Krishna Himself, what did He say? Krishna Himself spoke to Arjuna about him, and He said there, I am unborn, Ajam, Anadim, I have no beginning. We should take His opinion. How do we know about Krishna? It's not that I'm born, I know about Krishna. No, I found out from someone. How did he know? Actually, all the knowledge is in Shastra. That's how the knowledge came. So what are they doing? They're taking that knowledge of Krishna. Yes, He was there. But He's supreme? No. Why are you picking and choosing? Already you opened the Shastra and talked about Krishna. That means you accept Krishna. So, but you have to accept the whole thing. Otherwise it's called in Bengali, Ardha Kukuti Nyaya. That means the story that a person had a hen, and then hen will lay a golden egg every day. But he had to feed it. So then he thought, this part is good, it's giving golden eggs. This is not good, it's taking I have to spend money and feed it. So he cut off the head, then the chicken died. So Shastra is speaking about Krishna. People accept Krishna. There are people from other religions, they say, yes, Krishna was there, but he was a normal person. Why are you thinking he's God? Okay, so you accept Krishna, means you accepted the Vedas. Good, so you accept everything. That's how Vedas are accepted. So Vedas say, Krishna Himself, that Janma Karma Chame Divyam, my birth and my appearance are transcendental. Krishna says, they are transcendental. He says Himself. But elsewhere He says, Krishna says, that those who think I'm a normal man, when I descend as a human, they think I'm a normal human. They deride me, they are fools. Avajanati ma mudha manusham tanamashita param bhavam ajananta mama bhuta maheshwaram. That He says that fools think I'm a normal man when I descend in this world. They are fools, Krishna calls them mudha. They don't know param bhavam ajananta. They don't understand my superior nature. That part is translated as transcendental. Param bhava, nature, param is supreme to this material nature. Param bhavam ajananta mama bhuta maheshwaram, that I am the Lord of all living entities. They're foolish, they cannot see that. Just see how someone lifts a mountain with a small finger on the left hand. And just see their activities. Can't you see? This is not a normal man. If he's a normal man, you do that. Lift the mountain. Normal person cannot. It's important to note, it's not that Krishna became God. Krishna did not become God. He was God from beginning, as Prabhupada says, from the lap of his mother. First demon he killed was practically, he was, I think, not even 1 year. He killed the Putana demon. So from the beginning, no one can become God. Jiva cannot become God. Jiva is Jiva, God is God. Shastra says that. So Krishna from beginning, age 7, it says here, from age 7 he lifted Govardhan hill. So, yeah, Krishna himself explains his nature. He and the Prabhupada writes that any popular personality with a few traits of mystic powers will display some feat of jugglery and easily become an incarnation of God by popular vote. Mass of people in Kali Yuga are fools. So, they can be cheated so easily. They're being cheated. They're being cheated in the politics, as consumers. people are cheating them. In politics, they're being cheated. In every field, they're being cheated. They're being cheated by scientists who think they know anything about anything. They don't know. That we know. They cannot. If you see these documentaries on scientists who are speaking about this creation, this world, really, because of reading Prabhupada's books, really we can see that people are so expert at twisting words and looking so important. They're not. I used to, like watching hours. We'll watch these science, consciousness, frontier. They made a machine somewhere in Switzerland where we're going to simulate the Big Bang theory. Big Bang was Big Bang, but nothing is exploding there. Somehow they're simulating that. So mass of people are fools, and so in Kali Yuga they'll be cheated so much. Here we say God cannot be decided on popular vote. Everyone is thinking about everyone accepts him as God. That is not a reason to accept God, that everyone is accepting him. Prabhupada writes, Lord Krishna was not that type of incarnation. Not that by popular vote he showed some magic. He was actually the personality of Godhead from the very beginning of his appearance. He appeared before his so-called mother as four-armed Vishnu. If you read Bhagavatam, Krishna appeared with 4 hands, helmet, with jewels, beautiful cloth. This is not normal. At the request of his mother, he became like a human child and at once left for another devotee at Gokul. Then he left to another place where he was accepted as the son of Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda Mata. So here it's given about Krishna's appearance. It's uncommon, alokik. It's not a normal thing. Children are not born with jewels, bracelet, beautiful hair, helmet. Actually, he was not even born from the womb. He appeared. That's written in Bhagavatam. He appeared first in the mind of Vasudeva, then in the mind of Devaki, then he manifested himself. So, Krishna says himself that his birth and activities are spiritual. Now, in this verse, Shaunak Rishi is saying, they're asking about Krishna and to speak about Bhagavatam. But as you know, Bhagavatam is not on the level of other Shastras. Because other Shastras, they want to their aim is to bring us to Krishna consciousness gradually through different, maybe Karma Kand, Karma Yoga, Dhyana Yoga. But Bhagavatam is from the first opening sentence, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudeva, Krishna Supreme. So here the sages, their argument is not to tell us who is God. They know Krishna is God. They're saying here, Lord Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, along with Balaram, played like a human being, and so masked, he performed many superhuman acts. They are accepting Krishna as supreme. They are not asking that. This is Srimad Bhagavatam. Krishna is supreme. But we want to hear that narrations of his, because they are so supremely purifying. They purify the contaminated materialistic atmosphere of this world. So they want to hear his narrations. So that was not that is he God. No, it's clear. Kirtavan kila karmani, he played many superhuman acts. Saharamena, Kesha, with Ram, performed many superhuman acts. Atimartyani Bhagavan, superhuman. Atimartyani Bhagavan, Guda Kapata Manushaha. Guda, masked. Kapat, apparently, Manusha. Transformed as a human, he performed many godly acts. So this sentence is clear from beginning. Krishna is supreme, that's not the argument. Narrate his glories. That's kindly narrate his glories. That's what they were asking. So how to understand Krishna? How are we going to understand him? Krishna reveals himself. He covers himself by mystic potency, because those who are envious of Krishna, he does not want to reveal himself to them. In one commentary of Bhagavad Gita, I read previous Acharya's writing. Why is it that Krishna covers himself to those who are not his devotees? Yeah, that is one reason. One reason is they don't want to worship God, so assist them in their whatever they want. Okay, so you have to forget I'm God. Then another reason also is that they'll criticize. They're envious. Krishna displays his opulence. They'll criticize, oh, why you have to be supreme? I'm also great. Why should I worship? So he hides his opulences by his mystic power, yogamaya samavrita. So due to that, people could not tell. Krishna covered himself to who? Mudha, fools. Mudhayam na, he said, Mudhayam na vijananti lokama majam avyayam. He says, Naham prakasha sarvasya yogamaya samavrita. I'm covered by my internal potency. Therefore they cannot know me. You cannot know me. So that actually Krishna is supreme. His deity form is supreme. His prasadam, his books. But again, for us to perceive that, we have to be in the correct consciousness, or it will not be revealed. What we see when we come before the deity and a pure devotee, it's very different. I heard from one great book distributor, he distributed books. He said that he would go to Mayapur every year. Every time he saw the deity, every year he got deeper and deeper experience when seeing the deity and interacting, taking darshan. And he's, in one way, I mean, he was trying to avoid being, just giving a realization and trying to avoid sounding puffed up. He just said that somehow every time I do intense service, then I go to the holy dham. I every year feel the dham much more and deity more. So that's his experience. So Krishna, it's true that his name is Krishna, his prasadam, his deity form, his granth, this is all Krishna, but we cannot see it. How are we going to see it? Purport it's given here. It's the second part. In the Bhagavatam, the transcendental nature of the Lord is described in 9 cantos. And in the 10th canto, his specific pastimes are taken up. All this becomes known as one's reading of this literature progresses. As we progress in Srimad Bhagavatam, reading with attention regularly, then gradually Krishna is revealing himself more and more. So when we read 10th canto, then we are able to see. Otherwise, what will we see? In many lectures of Srimad Bhagavatam, within ISKCON, there is not much on Leela. Maybe now also there is this. But the general idea is Srila Prabhupada didn't speak much about Leela. Because Srila Prabhupada would say that, we'll speak Leela, we'll explain about Krishna, Balaram, Radha, Gopis, and what will you think when you hear all this? Do you think that is God and his expansion and his Shaktis, his Ladini Shakti? We think that? Or will we think something else? No, normal man, girl and boy. That's the problem. So we're not ready to hear Leela. That Leela will be narrated when we are ready. So Krishna can be known. Gradually one has to come on that platform to know him. Otherwise, Guda Kapata Manusha, he was hidden from the world, because most of this planet, people are envious of God. They are envious. He didn't reveal himself. But it's significant in Srimad Bhagavatam, in other Puranas, they don't explain it clearly, or they'll explain some mention, but here it's given very nicely. Right in the beginning, Sri Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he performed superhuman acts, but he was covered. So one needs to properly recognize Supreme Personality of Godhead through Shastra and Bhagavan, and learn that before Srila Prabhupada will speak about God, one very important point is that before he spoke about Krishna, he spoke about the concept of God. And sometimes somebody would ask Prabhupada, who is God? He said, oh, I'll say anything. Will you know if I'm cheating? First understand the concept of God. Then we'll discuss who is God, what is his form, concept of God. Upanishads explain so much. Nityo Nityanam, Chetanas Chetananam. That starts with, that is another one. And another verse is, Natasya karyam karanam chavdyate, natat Kshamas abhyadikashta drishyate parasya shakti vividaiva shriyate swabhaviki jnana balakriya. You see, not one word is given in this shlok. Who is God? Identification. But the concept to understand that natasya karam karinam cha vidyate. God has nothing to do. Karyam, we have duties. He doesn't have anything to do. Natasya karyam karanam, and there is nothing causing him. Karanam cha vidyate. Natat kshamas abhyadikascha drishyate. And in this creation, there is no one who is equal to God or greater than him. Natat shama abhyadikascha drishyate. You cannot find someone equal to or greater than him. Parasya shakti vividaiva shriyate. That he has many energies which are acting wonderfully all around. Whole of nature is functioning, this whole material world is functioning by energies of God. Swabhaviki jnana balakriya. How are they functioning? Not that he's sitting managing in tension. Oh, what about this? Oh, now it's time for summer. I have to, okay, quickly, Not like that. Swabhaviki, automatically. Swabhaviki jnana bala kriya. Swabhaviki, automatically jnana. He wills something, jnana bala, the energy for it happens, kriya, and it happens. Everything. This is concept of God given in Upanishads. Another place it says, Nityo nityanam chetanas chetananam. Eko bahudo yo vidadhati kaman. There are many conscious living entities, but he is above them. There are many eternal living entities, but he is above them. Why? Eko bahudo yo vidadhati kaman. Because he is the one fulfilling the duty, the desires of the others. And so therefore he is greater. So by studying Shastra, one should understand, not popular opinion. It's not that because we see the sticker stuck on every rickshaw and every shop, then, oh, this fellow is God. Everyone is saying it. No. It's not popular opinion. Because mass of people are fools. Everyone knows that. Advertising industry knows, politicians know. They take full advantage. So that's fine if you're in the politics or going to buy something and we are being cheated. But don't be cheated of the supreme benediction of going back to Godhead and becoming Krishna conscious. Don't be cheated about that. That's a big thing. What will happen after death? So we have to understand Shastra. That means you have to read Shastra, by the way. Read Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam. Understand those concepts. Then we won't be cheated, otherwise we'll be cheated. Hare Krishna. Any question?
Yes, I have
One question, yes.
You mentioned many people, the people in material world, they are enemies.
Yeah.
But how to understand that those people who approach God for material things, how they are enemies? People in material world.
Okay. So the question is that we say that people in this material world are envious. Well, it says in Shastra. So how to understand that some people do approach God for material things, but they're approaching. Okay, so then they're half envious. They're half envious because they accept the Supreme, and so they're pious. Krishna says, Chaturvida bhajanti mam jana sukritino Arjuna. They're sukriti. They have some credit of good activities they did. So they are half envious because they accept God, but they're not fully unenvious because they're competing with Him to enjoy. He is the enjoyer. They want to enjoy and plan the enjoyment. Why are you doing that? Our plan should be how to serve Him. That's why we're given brain, eyes, ears, hands. It's because we have to serve Him. So that's the answer. That summary. That yes, they're not envious like those who are atheistic. They accept it, so they're not as bad. But they're still envious because they're still trying to enjoy this world. That is Krishna's position.
I have a doubt.
Yeah.
So we in ISKCON we say that everyone they're getting cheated and by cheaters because they want and they're not reading the Shastras and all. But then those who are the cheaters, they say that no, these ISKCON people are cheaters and their interpretation, devotional interpretation is not correct. So then the person who is very new, he gets bewildered that who to listen to. So then, because then we can say that no, you read Shastra, in that everything you can understand. But then even Shastras are interpreted differently by these cheaters. So
then how to guide them, or what to tell them then? Okay, so question I'll repeat. I think, would they have heard you? Does this pick up the question?
Yeah.
Yes.
This will pick up. I don't have to repeat.
No, this will pick up. Yes.
Okay, fine. So now, but just to summarize, so people who are, we say that people are cheaters, they're not accepting what we are, Then others will say, no, you're cheaters, you're misinterpreting. So for new people, when we tell them they're cheaters and they're going to them, they're telling those people, you're cheaters. But they tell the new person, ISKCON are cheaters. So now what will he decide? What do we tell him? So one thing is, just obvious directly what we see. What we see, for example, that some people are waking up early, following clean habits, not engaging in sense gratification, and spending whole day dedicated to God. Okay, so that eliminates a lot of people who are claiming something. Certain Baba, I won't say name, from certain part of South India, I won't say. But so many followers, he had a lot of followers, but there's nothing to follow really. So now they compare, oh see, he had many followers, you have also. They're nothing, you have to see the people giving up so much and getting a taste and going on, even after the found Acharya unmanifested. Okay, now that eliminates a lot of people. But there's still some people like that, who are not having our philosophy. Okay, so what about that? Then, I recall hearing one explanation. We are doing bhakti, aspiring to be bhakti yogis. So we do bhakti. Others are doing gyan, dhyan, karma, whatever. If you analyze, they're all desirous, except the bhakta, a devotee. A devotee is desireless. What is that? Bhukti, mukti, siddhi, kami, sakale, ashant. Krishna bhakta nishkam, ataiva shant. Those who do dhyana yoga, Mayavadis, other worshippers of demigod, and so many, the worship is like that there is some desire is to be fulfilled. But Krishna Bhakta Nishkam, actually the system of worship of Krishna, Vishnu, Vaishnav system it's supposed to be Nishkam. The system, the prayers is not to ask anything. So if someone is not intelligent enough to see philosophy, at least you tell him this, that look, we're waking up early, we're in kirtan, we're sacrificing so much and following rules, regulations. So it must be in that way bona fide. Okay, that removes a lot of cheaters. But then what about other people following what we are doing but having different philosophy? Then you have to come down to bhakti. That bhakti yoga is nishkam. It is definitely the people following it are on a high level because of not being calm, desirous of any material sense gratification. Did that answer fully? I don't know. Yeah. Okay, an online question.
One question.
Commenting by Vrindaranya Das to everyone. The moment their desires are not fulfilled or some tragedy happens, the enviousness comes outside. Yeah. Yeah, that is that question he asked, that some people approach Krishna for their material desires, and so how can they be envious? So the comment here is there, is correct, that immediately if something is in their desire is not fulfilled or something goes wrong along the way, then immediately everything goes, all that humility and enviousness comes out. They will not accept Krishna. You didn't fulfill my desires. Yes, question.
By birth, Krishna is soul or body? If he is body, so body and soul means he should lift his body in this material world. This is my question.
Okay. The question is that when Krishna took birth, was he a combination of body, soul, or pure spirit? if he had a body, then he would have left it in this material world. There's in Kurma Purana one shlok regarding Krishna. Deha dehi vibhagoyam neshware vidyate kvachit. This shlok says, Supreme Person and his body are non-different. Dehi, deha, dehi, vibhag, na ishvara vidyate kvachit. This is not the understanding of God. He doesn't have a separate body and soul. His form is his actual form. Okay? So it's not that he, like us, had a body. Some people cite the last ending of Krishna's pastimes, that Krishna was put on a funeral pyre and then they burned and the body was burning. But actually, let's look at that incident properly. How do you know about it? It's in Bhagavatam. So read it. And in Bhagavatam, who's narrating it? If I'm not mistaken, it's Shukadeva Goswami narrating, or maybe Vyasadeva. Okay, so there it says, what does it say? That the demigods were there, and the sages and everyone, and when they lit the fire, everyone was astounded to see that Krishna get up and go up. He just left. He left behind a material body. Krishna himself, this is the shloka, Krishna himself left. They were surprised, astounded, wow. He just ascended back to Vaikuntha. And he left some kind of body which burnt. And that was to not delude atheists who want to remain atheists. They don't accept Krishna, that was for them. But that was not Krishna's body whole life. Otherwise, with a material body like that, you cannot lift a mountain as a 7-year-old. And what other things he did. Show a universal form. You cannot do that in a material body. So from his pastimes, it's clear that his body was not a material body. And that pastime, which some people claim that he is a material body, why was it burned? That is the reason. It's given in the Bhagavatam, that pastime, and how to understand it is given in the shloka in Sanskrit, not that ISKCON interpretation, purport. No, in the verse it's given. So then we understand Krishna did not have a material form. People who accept that, they call Mayavadis. They call Mayavadi because they accept that God has a material form, Maya, made of Maya. Therefore they call Mayavadi. And Mayavadi, Krishna Aparadi. Krishna, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that biggest offenders of God are those who think that He's normal to us, because He's the greatest, worshipable, most powerful, and therefore we worship Him. Of course, we worship Him because that's our nature, eternal duty. But Gita says, Krishna says, those who know that I am great, they worship me. Aham savasya prabho mata sarvam pravartate iti mata bhajantiman buddha bhava samanvita. Those who are intelligent know everything is, I am source of everything, they worship me. So that's the proper understanding. Yeah. Krishna's body is his actual body. The form, there is no material external and soul internal. It's not like that.
I have a comment on this question.
Yes.
So it is very popular belief in Odisha that in Jagannath deity they put the heart of Krishna and they, so but there is no as far as I know, no authorized source where it is specifically written that what they put inside Jagannath. That ceremony happens when the deity is changing.
Navakalivara.
Yeah. So now it is commonly propagated among the masses nowadays that it is the original heart of Krishna which they put in the deity.
Yeah, they say that the form was put in the Dwarka and the sea, then it floated all the way to Orissa, and so
it's like some folk tale, right?
Yeah, actually that I have not seen anywhere in Shastra. And in case we find it in Shastra, we should understand that because Bhagavatam is the higher Shastra, any contradiction we accept Bhagavatam. First because it's Sattvic, but also because it's Srimad Bhagavatam. When Shiva is narrating all the 18 Puranas, and he narrates every single one, but when he spoke about Bhagavatam, he said, and the auspicious Bhagavatam. He made a distinction in that shlok. So that part is there. Yes, that narration, it may be in Shastra, even if it is, it won't be accepted because it's contradicting what we hear here in Bhagavatam. That's the direct answer. And yes, let the people who like to speak about that, point out the reference. I don't think it's there. Yeah, there's a lot about Lord Jagannath, mostly in different Puranas. Most is in Vaishnav Khanda of Skanda Purana, in Sri Purushottama Mahatmyam. A lot is given about the holy places, about Jagannath himself, his appearance, so much, but that is not narrated, because in one book, ISKCON book, where a lot of the things were taken out of there, that part is not there. It would have been mentioned. Also, another thing is that for different deities and different worship, everyone has their way. Vaishnavas, how they see Jagannath and his pastimes and festivals, others don't. They'll accept something different. So we look at the Vaishnava sources to understand properly, because Vaishnava is the highest. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.